Whew. What is going on, guys? This was by far the best series of the division series. Yes, I'm including the Indians and Yankees because the Yankees and Indians was an entertaining series. It was not a good, well-played baseball series. There was just crazy moments that happened that made this series entertaining. This was a great baseball series. I mean, you had it all. You had pitching, defense, key clutch hits, home runs, everything, man, from top to bottom. I knew going into this game, the better team was going to move on. And it was pretty clear the Cubs are the better team. The Nats still going through that phase where they can't get out of the division series, and it's really hurting them. And could lead to Harper leaving the Nationals once his contract expires. But let's get into the game and let's get through this series. You look at the Cubs lineup. I mean, basically everyone's average is not good because of the first 4 games and what happened in retrospect. But Jay had a nice day, going 2 for 4. Brian went 1 for 5. Rizzo 0 for 5. Contreras 1 for 3. Almora Jr. 1 for 1. Zobrist 1 for 2. Russell had probably the best day, 2 for 4. Hayward went 0 for 4. Baez 0 for 5, and Schwarber went 1 for 1. The lineup did very well. Both lineups did very, very well today. The first 4 games, neither lineup did anything. Now you look at the Nats lineup. You had Trey Turner going 2 for 6. He kind of got things going in Game 4, but in Game 5 he played well too. But at that point, man, it's kind of too late to really get things going at that point. But Worth went 2 for 4. Harper went 2 for 4. Zimmerman went 0 for 4. Murphy went 2 for 3. Rendon went 1 for 3. Wieters went 2 for 4. Lynn went 0 for 1. And Taylor went 2 for 4. The standout hitter for the Nationals was obviously Michael Taylor. He had the 2 big home runs in Game 4 and Game 5. It's kind of crazy to think that you go from 4 games in a row of just pure pitching, you know, a clutch home run or a clutch hit here and there. But it was basically pitcher dominating the entire series, and then here you just had a slugfest. And to me, it was pretty obvious both bullpens were not very good. The Nationals bullpen was not very good, and the Cubs had an even worse bullpen. If it not for Wade Davis, I don't know if the Cubs move on or not. But with that being said, the Cubs had Davis, the Nationals didn't. They were forced to throw Scherzer with basically no day's rest. I think he had 1 day rest or something like that. But he obviously was not ready to go. He looked tired. His location was bad. His pitches were bad. And he just didn't have it in him, especially when you're only throwing on 1 day rest. That's a lot to ask of him. So I think that was the difference maker, was the fact that the Cubs had a Wade Davis and the Nationals didn't. But the moments that mattered, clearly Scherzer didn't have it. Like I said, it's really tough to ask a guy like Scherzer to do something like that in the playoffs. Granted, you're going to throw him no matter what happens. He's your guy. You live and die with him. But that, like I said, that's the difference maker of not having a bullpen and having somebody you can go to. But they didn't, so they had to go with Scherzer, and Scherzer didn't have it. Hendricks and Gio both laid an egg, man. They both did not pitch very well. Like I said, you go 4 games in a row of pure pitching dominance, and then you have a slugfest game like this in Game 5. Both pitchers didn't pitch well at all, and I think that was a difference maker for both teams. The offense came to play. Both teams knew that, hey, man, this has been 4 games in a row now. We haven't done anything with the bats. Besides, like I said, you throw in a couple clutch hits here and there, and that's basically been the games. And the offense for both teams came to play today. And it was very interesting, and it was very fun to watch, because you go from 4 games of, 1-run, 2-run games, which was, it was 9-8, but I mean, you saw 17 runs scored, which was very fun to watch, and it was very entertaining as well. So that, and like I said, bullpen, neither bullpen pitched very well besides Wade Davis at this point. There was a couple of guys who did their job, but for the most part in the series, both bullpens, I don't think we're very good. The standout players for the Cubs were Quintana. He went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk. He was a difference maker for the Cubs in the 7th inning. They brought in Carl Edwards Jr., who's he's stunk it up all series long, man. They put him in there. He walks a guy, and they pulled him because they got sick and tired of him walking the yard. I mean, it wasn't the first time. This is 3 games in a row now. He hasn't pitched well. He was basically the stopper. Now, I thought Madden was going to go with Lackey instead of Quintana, but he decided to go with Quintana instead of Lackey. And he did his job, man. I mean, he slowed down the momentum for the Nationals. He got 2 huge outs, and he did a great job, man. You got to tip your cap to him. He pitched well. Obviously, Wade Davis, I mean, 2 1/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Yeah, he gave up the run, but the dude was absolutely dominant. That's what happens when you got a guy like that, man. It literally wins you series. Wade Davis alone closed this series out for the Cubs. And if they don't have him, I think the Nationals win it. They find a way to come back and win that series if you don't have him, because they had to go to Davis because they had nobody else in the bullpen, because you didn't trust anybody else, and they didn't have anybody else to say, all right, he can get us some outs. And Wade Davis was that guy. So Wade Davis, absolutely, he was the MVP of Game 5 and probably the series as well. And then hitter-wise, Addison Russell, he had a breakout game, man. 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 1 walk. Couple doubles. I mean, Russell really swung the bat well this game, even though I'm not a big fan of Addison Russell. He played his heart out today, and it really worked out for the Cubs, especially on an offensive standpoint. He was the leader by far. The Nationals, Brian Madsen, he threw an inning in 2/3, gave up no hits, no earned runs, 2 strikeouts and no walks. I mean, what more could you ask for him? Like I said, he did his job. I'm surprised they didn't throw Madsen a little bit more. I thought they would use him a little bit more, but they chose not to. Doolittle, same thing. 1 inning, no runs, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts. I thought they would use Doolittle a little bit more as well. But like I said, when you have Strasburg and Scherzer and all these dudes, you're going to throw them before them, obviously. So, like I said, I wanted to see them used a little bit better, but it is what it is. And then the hitter, obviously Michael Taylor, 2 for 4 with a 3-run home run. He was the life of the offense in this series. I mean, let's call it the way it is. He hit .333. He hit the grand slam in Game 4, and he hits a 3-run home run in Game 5. That puts him up 4-1. I mean, he was the offense for the Nationals in most of this series. He was their most consistent hitter, and it was nice to see somebody like Michael Taylor. You know, and when you expect the Nationals lineup to do something, you think of Trey Turner, Worth, Harper, Zimmerman, Murphy, Rendon. And he was the last guy you expect to do anything, and he carried the Nationals offensively, and it was nice to see that. So good for him, man. So let's take it for what it's worth. The Cubs are moving on. The strengths of the Cubs, watching them 5 games in a series, they have a premier closer. Just like the Dodgers and Kenley Jansen, Wade Davis and the Cubs, he's that guy, man. They have a premier closer. He can get you 7 outs. I mean, he showed it today. He can get you 7 outs. And it's going to be very interesting and very fun to watch Kenley Jansen and Wade Davis go at it. It's very interesting. I think the bats will be ready for LA just because we've seen LA and the Cubs before. This isn't the first rodeo between them two, and they're going to be ready. I think they'll be ready for the Dodgers. They always are. They play the Dodgers hard. They play them very well. So, granted, they didn't swing the bats well in this series, but I think they're going to be due. They're going to be due. They're going to do a little bit better than, especially with that rotation in LA too. Brings me to my next point. The starting rotation for the Cubs. They look very solid. Very, very solid. I'd like to see guys like Arrieta get a little bit deeper into ball games, but for the most part, the starting pitching looks good. They look ready to face LA in that part of the game. So, timely hitting. The Cubs have done it all year long. They did it last year as well. They get timely hits, man. When they need that run to break the game open or to take the lead or to tie the game, they get it. And it doesn't matter who it is. It could be anybody, top to bottom, 1 through 9. They get timely hits. Next thing, they know how to win, man. I mean, they've done it for the last 2 years now. They know how to win games. They know how to deal with elimination games, and they just know how to win. They're a winning franchise. They're a winning ball club, and that's how they do it, man. They just continue to win when their backs are against the wall, and they did it tonight as well. So the last part is they know how to deal with pressure. I mean, last year, down 3-1 in the World Series. I think they were down every series last year, and they came back and won every single one of them. So they know exactly how to play better when there's more in stake. So those are the strengths for the Cubs, and I think that's something to really look forward to going into the next series. Some of their weaknesses, though, watching them in 5 games, was their bullpen, and in particular, Carl Edwards Jr. He had 4 outings, and he only pitched well in one of them. I don't know what they're going to do from a bullpen standpoint, because it's 7 games now and you need a bullpen. And that's why I'm not sure if I'm picking LA or am I picking Chicago yet, because that bullpen is a mess. And it's something that the Cubs are going to have a tough time with LA. Number 2, the offense. I'm not sure if the offense is, like I said, I'm sure they'll be ready for LA, but the offense did not swing the bats well in this series. So I'm kind of interested to see how they respond when they move on to the NLCS. Number 3 is Javier Baez. The dude didn't have a batting average this series. He went 0 for 9, a couple strikeouts, and I'm kind of nervous, man, because if they're gonna go, Javier Baez is gonna go, and he has to play well if they want to stand a chance against the Dodgers. Yeah, he's got to play better, man. He's got to play better. He's one of the heart and souls of that team. He's one of the leaders of the team. He's got to play better. You can't go 0 for 9 against the Dodgers and expect to win. It's not going to happen. And last but not least, their defense, man. Usually they're they're a pretty solid defensive team. They should have a couple Gold Glovers, but they had 7 errors this series. In 5 games, they had 7 errors. Granted, they didn't make an error in the 5th game, but they're going to have to clean it up defensively if they want to beat LA. It's as simple as that. And as for the Nationals season as a whole, I'm going to keep it short and simple. 4 things that really stuck out to me is they need to get over the hump, man. I mean, this is what, 4 or 5 years now they've lost in the division series. They got to find a way to win a series. I mean, they've won 100 games before. They won 99 games this year. They seem to be the NLE's favorite every single year. They need to find a way to get through a division series and win a series, man. I mean, it's pretty redundant at this point. Number 2, their lack of bench. They didn't have much of a bench, and it clearly showed when it came to pinch hitters. I mean, Adam Lind did all right, but for the most part, they lacked a bench, and I think that really hurt them in this series. Number 3, they need to build a bullpen, especially for next year. They need to build a bullpen. Granted, they had Doolittle and they had Ryan Madsen, but you're going up against guys like Andrew Miller and Chapman and Wade Davis and all these guys. You got to have a guy like that to win series, and they didn't have that guy, and that's one of the reasons why they didn't win this series. So building a bullpen is going to be crucial for them going into next season. And last but not least, you need to make Harper stay. Next year is his last year on his contract. He becomes a free agent after next year. You guys need to do whatever it takes to get him to stay in Washington. Whether that's build a dynasty for next year, make the team as great as you possibly can to get him to stay, because another division series loss, he's out of here. He's not, I mean, he spent 5-6 years. You guys haven't won a series yet. He's not going to stay. He wants to win. I know he wants to win. Yeah, so I mean, that's the biggest thing for the Nationals. They got to make Harper stay, and I think building a team around him with some pitching, with the bullpen, is going to be key. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys like this, make sure to click a like, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'm out of here. Take care, guys.